the Prophet ﷺ also said that there are two types, that envy is bad except in two cases. Envy is bad. La hasada, there is no envy except in two cases. A person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave knowledge to and they recite it, and in one narration spread it, meaning that they read it at night, so they pray at night with that knowledge, they recite the Quran, or they teach it, they preach it, right? So a person who Allah has given ilm and they spread it, or a person who Allah has given wealth and they spend it. Prophet ﷺ said there is no envy except in these two cases. But isn't that a contradiction to what Imam Malik rahimahullah said? Absolutely not, and I'll tell you why. Someone might say, I really, really want to be that rich person, all right? And I will give sadaqah if I get rich. But what they envy about the person is not the sadaqah part. They're using the sadaqah part to embrace that position and not find a contradiction with their religion. So if I get there, I'll give a lot of charity too. They might like the praise that comes with it. They might like the lifestyle that comes with it and says, well, the sadaqah certainly washes that away. And so this is great. I want to be that person, right? So you get a community where every single person wants to become a doctor. We need doctors, by the way. I'm not telling anyone to drop med school, but every single, they think wealth, 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 wealth. And there's more to it than that, right? But the Prophet ﷺ is not talking about that. The Prophet ﷺ is talking about a person who sees someone who's benefiting with their sadaqah and they're envying the benefit part. I wish I could give that much benefits. And so what does that translate into for them? They try to make up for their inability to give charity with their wealth, with their volunteering, with their work, with all of the other things they can do with themselves so that they can match the benefit in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a person who Allah gives knowledge to, and they spread it. Now, by the way, in another narration, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that whoever seeks knowledge so that they can argue with scholars, shame the ignorant, or liyasrifa ilayhi wujuh nas, turn people's attention to them, Allah will enter them into hellfire. May Allah protect us all. So you're not envying the, man, I want to be a speaker. That looks great. I want to be on YouTube one day. I want to have TikToks going viral. I want to have this and this and that. This, I want to be on the minbar one day. No, none of that. They're envying the benefits and saying, I want to benefit people like that. I want to be a guide for people towards khair, towards good. So that's either going to unlock in me that I need to learn more, or I need to find ways to maybe open the pathways of ilm for other people. So maybe I'll facilitate that knowledge towards other people because I want to get some of the reward of that benefit. So the competition does not become about the specifics, it becomes about the reward and output. That we all have this zeal to want to compete, and that makes us all better. That makes us all better. I don't want to use too many basketball examples. I feel like I've used too many of those already. Some of you are like, we don't know what you're talking about here, right? But, a great player doesn't just study everyone at their position, right? They become a student of every great player and try to adopt what they can, try to learn from what they can, and bring it into their lives. And that keeps them getting greater and greater and greater and greater. What does that mean for a Muslim? وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسَ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. Let them compete in that good. سَابِقُوا, rushing, racing. Omar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah. You all have heard of Omar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah? So in 2 years, this man turned the ummah around. 38 to 40, by the way. He was only 38 years old when he became the Khalifa. Incredible human being. The great-grandson of Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Incredible human being. One of the most accomplished people in Islamic history is Omar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah. He died when he was 40. He was the governor of Medina when he was 25 years old till 32. And then he became the Khalifa at 38. What the man did, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, is incredible. I mean, one of the most accomplished people in Islamic history, to the point that there's consensus, according to many of the scholars, that he's the first mujaddid of Islam, the first reviver of Islam after Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. In his generation, he is the reviver. So if you're Umar ibn Abdul Aziz and people are telling you this stuff and you're seeing the accomplishments, you're probably thinking to yourself like, I'm good. But Umar ibn Abdul Aziz one day goes out in the morning to do dhikr, and he finds Mujahid, rahimahullah, who was a mufassir of Quran, a great scholar of tafsir, and he finds him remembering Allah at the riverbank and crying and weeping and getting close to Allah. And he looks at Mujahid and he goes, woe to you, O Mujahid. كيف ألقى ربي في يوم أنت فيه ملاقي. How am I supposed to meet Allah on the same day that you meet Allah? Man, I got to do better. How am I supposed to meet Allah on the same day that you're going to meet Him? He saw something Mujahid was doing that he wasn't doing, that inspired him. It didn't shut him off, make him despondent, because that's how we are as an ummah. And his great-grandfather, Omar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, had one person in the ummah after the Prophet ﷺ that was greater than him, and that was Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. And Umar radiallahu anhu, what does he say about himself? I always wanted to compete with Abu Bakr, and he always beat me out. So I thought one day I'm going to surpass him, and this is probably a good segue into a fundraiser. All right, because you've all heard this maybe in a fundraiser. One day I was going to surpass Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. The Prophet ﷺ was asking for wealth. I brought a bunch of my money. Prophet ﷺ said, what have you left for your family? He said, half of it, Ya Rasulullah, for Allah and His Messenger, half of it for the family. MashaAllah, ahsant ya Umar. Great job. Then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu comes and he gives all of his wealth for the sake of Allah. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I can't beat out Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. But he kept trying. And some of the greatness of the khilaf of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu is that he always had Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu ahead of him and was always thinking to himself, you've exhausted everyone that comes after you. I got to do better. I've got to be like you. I've got to try to be more like you. That's the culture we want to have. And so being a more wholesome Muslim means being a more wholesome community, and it means looking at the best examples around you to inspire you, not the worst examples around you to make you complacent. Or even worse, condescending and judgmental. Looking at the best examples, people that have something that you know that you don't have, and I want the benefit and the rewards, I'm going to push myself to do even better. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people that inspire and are inspired, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our shortcomings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rid us of any of the destructive flaws that could do away with our good deeds. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us towards that which is pleasing to Him, that which makes us more pleasing servants to Him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rectify us and rectify through us. May Allah correct our hearts, correct our deeds. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala correct our creed, correct our ideas, correct our practices, and allow us to die in a way in which we have reached that which is most pleasing to Him.